Mr. Koolaid has to, in his recently revealed morning routine, because all of his fans were asking for his morning routine, he fills himself up first.
Yeah.
So is he the liquid or is he the jar, the jug?
Are we the vessel in which we contain, or are we the
Inside
fluid of the insides of the soul that we are?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I loved that though, because it was like the questions that aren't being asked enough.
Yes. Exactly. What are they teaching kids in school these days?
Yeah. Are we our philosophical...
Are we human or are we dancer?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is the Kool-Aid man his jar or his liquid?
Yep.
Touch of darkness.
Yes. I'm trying to find here we go. I had like this saved. So the review thing. I was trying to find where I put the review page. Oh my God. Touch of darkness.
Remind me how it ends so that I know not to spoil anything from the other books.
Yes, that's fair. So it ends at the end of her 6 months. So it's like the kind of like the last real action in the book, and not like the falling action. Like the real kind of turning point is she's 2 weeks away from the end of her contract and from the end of like her college and from the end of her articles that she's writing for the news on Hades for the series that she was making.
Right. Okay.
And so she shows up at work and Aphrodite is there, and she basically tells Persephone that she's like, oh, well, you see, Hades and I had a bet. Did you not know? And Persephone is literally like, you can drop the act. Just tell me what you want to say. And so we find out that literally an hour before he met Persephone, he had lost a game to Aphrodite, and Aphrodite had made her terms, which is that he has to make somebody fall in love with him within 6 months, or she gets one of her former lovers who died back from the underworld.
It's very Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. And we find out then, of course, that he's had this secret contract in the back the whole time that she's been like, the whole time that she's been trying to get her shit done. He's just kind of had this like secret thing. And so she's convinced herself that he was being shameless and he was being two-faced and it was all an act. And I like that you could like see her like fall down the paranoia rabbit hole, because that's like a very real thing when you find out, like, even though he definitely, I think, could have explained it more, but he explains himself. He is a little bit, for lack of words, when it comes to what he, I guess, should have said, because he's got walls up from the millions of years that he's lived alone. So again, like, it makes sense, even though I wish that he would have said more, especially because they don't really talk about the problem later. It's just like they see each other on the street and they run into each other's arms and say they missed each other.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of like really talking about like getting that out in the open. However, I'm also glad because she did just like go down an emotional, like, whoo, just like straight down. And that was like a very real thing, which I liked.
Yeah.
Even when she's like being comforted by him, she's like, she's not fighting him for the comfort. She knows she needs to be comforted, but she's still like angry at him too.
Yeah.
She's like, I want comfort from you, but I'm also angry at you.
Yeah. And he accepts that.
Yes.
Like he knows that she's going to be angry because it takes him a while to like get back to him. Like I think Hermes eggs him on to like go back to her.
That might be from A Game of Fate.
Maybe. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Because Hecate is the one who like finds her at the cafe.
Yeah.
And
I love her.
Yes.
She's
same.
a good character.
One of the scenes when she like walks up to Hecate in her house and she's got this like black candle lit and she's just like meditating and she keeps saying her name and she won't respond. And then she blows out the candle and she's like, what were you doing? She's like, oh, just cursing a mortal.
Yeah.
Yes. I love her. So yeah, so the very, very end is then a couple of weeks after like all of that, after her graduation. So we've jumped probably about a month. She stood up to her mom. She's turned Minth into a plant. She's told Adonis to like watch his back.
Yeah.
And she's become like a full-time investigative journalist for New Athens News.
Yeah.
So she's got it all. Like she's finally found her power.
I really loved this book because it had like, she had a strong sense of like being in the world.
Yeah.
Like so many books, like you're just kind of like, she doesn't like, she wanted to be on Earth.
Yeah.
Yes. Like she didn't want to just escape Earth and go to the underworld because she had a life there. And the life that was established was real. She had her friend. She has like, is it Lucy? No.
Lexa.
She has that whole gang like at the
so we got like
apartment.
Sybil, Xerxes, Aro, I think is one of them, and then Lexa is like dating Jason.
Yeah,
it's like there's like she's got friends. She's got people. Yeah,
and then like Hermes kind of like joins the caveat.
I'm excited for that.
I love that. He's so
as somebody well versed in Hades and Persephone retellings. I'm always eager for when Hermes comes around.
Yeah, exactly.
I really liked that the message wasn't that he like fucked the life into her, but rather that it was him worshiping her that gave her the power. Yes. He was like, you just needed somebody to worship you, and I was there to do it.
She couldn't grow anything until he like touched the darkness. I don't mean to be like, but that's literally kind of what it means is like
because she has that argument with her mom later where she's like, I know what you did. I know you kept me here because then I couldn't grow things. And I love that it becomes like, not necessarily that her mom was like terrible to her, but that the point is that the gods are drawing their power from their worship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, it kind of, as much as she wants to be this like human kind of connection, or she wants to have this human connection, like live up in the upper world alongside the mortals, her power also literally comes from the mortals.
Yeah.
From their ability to believe in her.
Yeah.
And so the fact that now Lexa knows the truth tells me that in this next book, she's probably going to get more power because she's still so hell-bent on not being out as a god. Even though like I don't really get that, just because like it seems like at first she was just doing it because her mom and her made that deal that she couldn't be out as a human, or like that she couldn't be out to the humans as a god. And then she stands up to her mom, and I'm like, so why don't you tell people that you're a goddess? Like, what's stopping you now? And you know your mom kept it from you because it would have stunted your power.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I felt like it was very much, she just kind of wanted to keep herself incognito. Like, she's already on the spot for dating Hades.
Yeah.
And so she kind of wants to kind of keep low key for her career.
That's fair. That's fair.
But it wasn't very clear, so.
No, I mean, it's probably, I did read the blurb for book 2. I've got other books that I have to read before I get to that one, but I did read the blurb. I know. Only because if I wait.
You can read it in a day. You can.
I know if I wait, I'm going to put off all of these books that I have to read.
What do you have to read?
Well, the arc that we've got.
Yeah.
And then I want to get a head start on King of Scars and Rule of Wolves. Which is probably going to be closer to the recording dates. But then I also know that if I put off Wuthering Heights and Frankenstein, I'm going to really put it off.
Especially during the season, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. I just want to get the half-two books done first.
Schedule them in between books.
Oh, that's kind of what I'm planning to do.
Because they're 300 pages.
I read this one in a day and a half.
Yeah, they're really easy, so... But yeah,
so
once you get drowned in them, you're like you can never come out. Like
I know how I am. Exactly. Like I will just like head face first into the books like this. And so I know that I need to step back. I need to put that restraint on myself.
Because I read them literally back to back.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, tell me where it ends, because I'm literally thinking about all of the other things that happen, because there's so many things that happen that I'm like, I can't.
So it's also, I know that like they're not all out yet, right?
No, I think she has a fourth one coming out.
Yeah, and it's been pushed because of her new series.
Yeah, she's doing something else. Something about a king.
Which I'm excited for that one, though. Because that one's going to be about vampires. And we know I love vampires.
Ooh, we should cover that sometime then.
Yes. Yeah, I think we should.
When we get like one or two of them.
It's actually coming out in October, I think.
And it's a smaller kind of publisher.
Yeah, so she left Amazon.
She can, but like there's... For example, the series I'm reading by Tate James, the first one just got released in January, and she's on like the sixth one just came out. So it's like those smaller books, smaller publishers like are able to like release books like.
I think she's gonna. She's
got
these ones planned out pretty similarly to like her release date with Touch of Darkness. Like probably about like a year-ish between books, but that's why the next one in this series got pushed back, because they needed because she changed publishers, they needed to prioritize the series that was starting with them. So yeah, we should cover those ones.
Yeah, that would be fun. But I like
she is also, sorry real quick, she is also doing like a pre-order campaign like they did for Gods and Monsters, where like if you pre-order it in any fashion and then send proof that you did, you get goodies.
We should do that, because I would love that. I think so that when you read the next book, we should like do a Friday chat.
Yes.
Series. And this would be one of them. So tell me about the sex scenes in this book before I tell you the sex scenes and tell you something that didn't happen to you. Like in your book.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you. I don't want to be like, oh, this. And then you'd be like, that didn't happen. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay, so we've got the first couple times that they kiss, when he's giving her favors so that she can like get into Nevernight, and so she can then snap into the underworld. Yeah. We've got a couple of them making out.
There's the one in the limo.
Yes, the when she's like half
that's the
drunk
first
still.
Like that's like the first like sexy
thing. Yes, because she just straddles him and she's like, you're gonna worship me and I'm not gonna have to ask for it. And you're like, okay, like, is he gonna do it? He should do it. He should really do it.
But then
right
he like
now.
Doesn't. Like he has like a lot of restraint.
A lot of restraint. He's still like, he leaves bruises. So this is a little arch, because he leaves the bruises on her thighs. So then when they have the bath scene and he like lifts her onto the wall, he's like, did I do this to you? And she's like, yeah, it doesn't hurt, I swear. And he doesn't listen. He just like kisses her bruises.
Yeah. Oh.
And then eats her out.
Yeah. You know, like you do.
Yep. And they were going to have sex. She even admits it later. She's like, if Minth hadn't walked in, I would have 100% let him fuck me.
But they hadn't fucked yet? Or
they had not fucked yet. Because the first time they fuck is at the gala. Oh. They go the whole night. She's like, Hecate helped her.
On the balcony.
No, not that time. That's at the party.
Okay.
We'll get there. Okay. So the very first time, it's at the gala, and her mom's supposed to be there, and Persephone's not like she doesn't think her mom knows yet. So Hecate helps her like put on a glamour, since at this point she doesn't really have her own magic yet. And then she decides to wear like a sexy tight red dress to pair with it. And so probably about like an hour or two into the gala, she like feels Hades walk up behind her, and she can't see him, which means he's like invisible, I'm assuming. And then they decide, they dance, and he says something. She throws a retort back. He asks if she's jealous because she's talking about how like he came with Minth on his arm, which like, how can you not expect her to say shit like that? Like he's all like, well, she's only my assistant. It's like, who brings their assistant on their arm like that?
Yeah. Well, and Hecate like warned him of that. Like you can't like bring her.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's a game of fate.
But. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised though, because she's smart.
Yeah, it would make sense that she would.
Yeah.
No. Don't do that.
She's like, you don't know what's waiting for you.
Yeah.
So they're dancing and she just says something and he teleports them to the castle. But I think he takes them to his office. They start playing a game. And then he lifts her naked and walks her to his room. And she's like, can't you just teleport us there?
No,
and he's like, well,
yeah, go ahead.
He's like, I could, but I want everyone in the castle to see what's happening. I don't want us to be interrupted.
Yeah.
And they aren't. And then they have sex multiple times that night.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
So what are the details of that? So that
I don't even remember.
I know. Me neither.
They're both a little toasty. Nothing too bad. I think it was like a mix of like the gala. She's trying to drink to get over Minth. He's trying to drink to like. And
he gets kind of drunk. He's kind of drunk.
A little bit, yeah, because they're playing like strip poker. That's the game that they play to like.
Yeah, so that was fun because she had like the necklace on, and then
she had like she was like, all I've got is like one piece of clothing, and then several pieces of jewelry, and he's like, I'll see if the jewelry counts. Yeah, I might want to fuck you in it.
Yeah, and then he lays her down on the table, and eats her out. She comes.
Yep.
Then takes her to the bed.
Yep.
So that the whole household knows. And then they make history. But it's definitely
because they even pass out and then she's like, I woke up a few hours later and his hardness was up against me.
Yeah,
and then they fucked again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
love that because so like we've got in season 1 our most like sexually charged couple, Poppy and Castile, are constantly fucking, and I support that. But I'm always like, how do you just stop?
Yeah.
Like they'll have sex at night sometimes, and then they just sleep for the rest of the night. And I'm like, if I felt that man next to me, I'd be on him again.
I'd be like, again, please.
Round two.
Can we go, please?
Now.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
That's such a female thing too, I think. Like
guys just pass out afterwards.
Yeah,
they're like
what is it?
Snoring 30
I don't want to
after.
say I don't want to say remission, but there's like a
refractory period.
Yeah, there's a refractory period, which not all men have. Whatever, it all varies. But it's just kind of like I'm just kind of like what waste of like this energy I have. Like, where like now I have to like
started. Like that was a warm up.
Yeah, I'm like okay, like.
And I'll take care of it. Like it was very much like they've broken that seal now and they can't keep their hands off of each other, and not just like in a longing way, but like they answer to that need with each other. So I like that. So she starts to spend more time in the underworld and in the fields of Asphodel, or in Asphodel, which is like the middle class heaven. They start to call her Your Highness. They're recognizing her as their queen. And so she decides to throw a party because some of the souls from Elysium are going to be reincarnated.
Yeah.
And so they always throw a party for those souls, for the ones that are going to be reincarnated. And she's like, why don't we do it at your palace? Like these people want to spend time with you. And in the middle of like them doing all of that, she's dancing with kids.
Yeah.
She's talking to the gods that are there. She's having a good old time. And at one point he asks her to dance again, and they're dancing. And then he just whisks her off to the balcony at his room and fucks her on the wall of the balcony. And then she hops off hops off his dick. They turn around and then you see the souls ascend as they do their reincarnation. Yeah.
So nice.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then they did have sex when her mom like popped in on them. I think it was like in between. It was like they had sex before they went to sleep. And then they were just getting frisky with each other again.
Doesn't Hermes like walk in on them and say like your mother's here or something? Or?
No. Like Hades is like kind of on her and then he backs up really quick. Like he retreats a little bit. And Persephone is like, what does she say? She's like, no, don't come back. Or like, don't go, come back. And then she just hears her mom say, get away from my daughter. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Hades defends her as much as he can.
Yeah.
I liked that one. But I think my favorite was probably the gala scene.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait for you to read the rest.
Me either.
They do get better.
I'm really excited. That's some heavy, some big shoes to fill.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you, like, I don't want to do a lot of like shitting on the author, but like this was the romance series that I read that I was like, oh, like the climaxes are kind of underwhelming. How did you feel about that?
Okay, so we did briefly talk about this, and I'll kind of like cover
yeah.
Like Armentrout gives a lot of weight, not to compare people, I'm just kind of like comparing like techniques, like how people structure these. Armentrout gives a lot of weight to like the foreplay and the daring. So we get like the touching, we get the build up, we get all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas St. Clair does like the foreplay really well. In reverse. St. Clair does like, wait, no, hold on, scratch that. What am I saying?
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay.
And then you can start over.
Whereas
Yep.
Whereas St. Clair like does the foreplay really well, but she gives a lot of attention to like the aftercare, which I really like. So like the sex scenes themselves are really great. And like, yes, the climax, the orgasms aren't quite as detailed as some other sex scenes, but I think that's because like the crux of that part is the aftercare.
Yeah.
It's like Hades pulling out, walking over, grabbing a towel, and like cleaning them both up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's him fixing her dress afterwards.
Yes.
Like those little like post-sex scenes.
Like grabbing like a robe for her, or like getting her changed and washed up. I agree, because I think when I was reading this, like knee deep in romance.
Yep.
You know, getting there.
Yep.
And I had already read stuff, and I was just like, oh, like, and it's just like, okay, you read a different kind, like a different approach, right? And I think that's a good way to put it, because it is definitely just an approach. Because I miss that. I miss the aftercare and like other reads.
Yeah. Well, because they like,
and that's like a big part of it
at that point. Like they come and then they both like catch their breath. End of chapter.
Yeah.
But it's like the little details afterwards that like they hit like the intimacy button in a different way. I think.
Yes. Yeah. They get you in a different way.
Yes.
I also just like the foreplay is really strong in this series.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, like in more ways than one. I feel like not only does he love her and need her, but he's like he has like a physical reaction to her.
Yes. I have not read A Game of Fate yet, I should say that. And I can't speak for your copy because I don't know like if they've always printed them with this, but the copy that I have of the first book has, if they call it bonus content. So there is an epilogue basically where she talks about like how she told Hades that she accidentally turned his assistant into a plant. That was another sex scene because she uses her powers to like tie him up to the wall when they make it into her garden. Did you get this chapter?
I don't know.
Okay. So it's you'll have to double check. So she fucks him on the wall. Like she just, this is a whole tangent. I'm going to talk about this tangent now, this bonus content thing.
I'm okay with it.
So he gets her started and then he tries to like hold out on her. And she has this moment where she's like, he's not the only one who can play that game. And so she uses her powers and like get his arms and legs and like strap him to the garden wall, which in my head is like a nice obsidian. And then she goes down on him and she's like, she finishes him, like he finishes, and she stands up and she fully undresses and she's like, isn't it so hard that you can't worship me? And she had thought he couldn't get out of his restraints because he'd been kind of straining before. But after she says that, he just breaks free. Like he just like full on like hulks it and breaks the vines and breaks through them. His dick is still out. So he just like lifts her naked body and drops her onto his penis.
Okay.
Do you need me to read this to you?
No, that's okay. You don't have to do that. I do want to read it. So she has a lot of bonus material on her website, as I made you aware of. And I read some if you don't want spoilers, don't read it, because I read stuff that I read in other books and that are in the books. Like they're not extra bonus material, which is kind of weird. So I should
probably
look
bonus content for the website. Like you don't have to buy the book to read it.
Yeah,
if you do this.
If you just want to read the sex scenes, but if you want to read the books, I wouldn't. I don't know what else she has on there.
My guess is okay.
So I'm saying maybe I can find it on there, because if it's
probably But
Yeah.
part of the bonus material, other than that epilogue, is Touch of Darkness from Hades' point of view.
Okay.
So the first 2 chapters of the book told from his point of view. But one of those chapters, the second chapter, is a game of fate. And so that's the one where just after Aphrodite has given her terms on their game, he runs into Persephone. So
Yeah.
what were we talking about? Oh, so in terms of his immediate physical reaction to it. So I've read those 2 first chapters now.
I would
yes,
say
exactly.
I would say 2.
Just
yeah.
love.
Yeah, he's just
yeah.
So I would say a touch of darkness, a touch of ruin.
Ruin? Yeah,
Malice,
I think it's Ruin is next.
And then Malice. Are better books. But it's nice to get Hades' perspective. It's definitely fan service.
Oh yeah.
You're just
you get all of that all over again.
I just want to see what goes on in his head. And you get that, but there's definitely not as much meat. I take that back, because there is a lot of stuff that goes on in the Olympus political worlds that you don't get to see in Persephone's perspective, which is kind of nice, because you're I got to see more of something. You get to see more of the fates, you get to see more of Olympus, interpersonal stuff going on.
Yeah.
So in that regard, but it's not in terms of plot, A Touch of Darkness, that series has more going for it. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's because we already know the plot. Exactly.
Because it literally goes it's literally just the same thing happens when they're together. You get his. So you're it's you read A Touch of Darkness before you read A Touch of Fate. So you already know.
Yeah.
So yeah. But we don't get the second in a Game of Fate.
Oh.
I've only read the one, because it doesn't come out, because she's writing all sorts of shit.
I know.
She's read a lot of stuff.
What is it? 2.5 series now that she's working on.
Yeah. So
yeah,
she's still going, and so I was oh, that's sad. But I'm very excited for when you read the next one and the one after that.
I will report diligently,
because I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. We will talk about it. I'm just saying that there's more week, probably.
Yeah, there's more truth or dare scene kind of things going on.
Because I love their games.
Yes, it's more game stuff.
Good.
So yeah, and you get to see more of everything,
Mm-hmm.
And it does get a lot deeper. You get really. I feel you really get invested in the side characters as well, which is exciting.
Okay, cool. I'm excited. Yeah. So my thoughts on the book are, yes, that message is approved by me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was good. It was so fun to read, at work.
Yeah.
It was my first Hades
My work
book.
is my desk, but yeah.
Yeah. It was my first Hades book.
Oh, nice, nice.
I don't know. I feel like everyone's writing about Hades. Right?
Yeah, I mean, again, as somebody who's like been in YA, in the YA verse for the last 15 years, it's always been a common trope. People love that myth.
Yes.
This is probably one of my favorites. And that's because like I typically have a bit of a problem when they're too modernized.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked that too. I liked that it wasn't so modern.
Yes.
It melded the two really well. Like you still felt the old worlds of the underworld. And
it explained like how, like the timeline kind of, because there's that whole event that she talks about where it's like, I can't remember what they call it, maybe like the Great War or something, where there was an event in history that led to the gods living on Earth. And so it feels kind of like alternative history, kind of, where we're living. It's a new timeline because it's like, it is real, like it is modern.
Yeah.
But we're just explaining how the gods live here.
Well, and you really feel the beef that all the gods have with each other.
Yes.
Like later on, like it feels real. Like you feel like that's been going, like that sore spot has been happening for a while, you know?
Yeah.
She illustrates that really well, I feel like.
I think she also did a really good job of like creating in my head, the vision of New Athens is like this mix of modern and classical, like classic Greek architecture.
Yes.
And I love that image, especially like then you just got in the middle of this city is like this giant black building that's a club.
Yeah. Yes. The Nevernight or whatever. It's very, it's really easy to visualize.
Yeah.
And it creates an aesthetic that's like, it marries the old world, right?
Yep.
Of like the old sanctions, the old like ideals of the gods. While also
like the garden of the gods is just like a part of the building.
Yeah. While also seeing that there's like this modern world of mortals who are like, well, why do you get to like do this? You know, so like there's, it gets more political and it's very good.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. So those are my thoughts.
A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair.
Yes.
Very good. Very good indeed. Okay.